says that we have an upcoming stream, and of course that upcoming stream is there. We'll stop. Okay, looks like we're live, and we're going to see just what we see here. Yeah! Yeah! Hot diggity dog. I like it. I like it when things work. All right, so let's jump into this. Let's get back over to the realm that I know all too well. All right. So, welcome back. My name is Chris Courtney. I am the founder here at New Pragmatic. Thank you so much for spending a moment of your busy day with me as we dive into this discussion regarding, I'm going to full screen this for a second. All right. So we'll start back over. Hi there. My name is Chris Courtney. I'm the founder here at New Pragmatic. Thank you so much for joining me for this short video discussing a case for helping you make a case for more design research. I really hate the live videos. I'm going to start this over. We'll clip it all down later. Anyway, hi there. My name is Chris Courtney. I'm the founder here at New Pragmatic. Thank you so much for joining me for this short video on how you can make a stronger case for more design research with your clients and at your place of employment. As I said, I'm Chris Courtney. I've been doing this whole design thing for over 20 years, and what I can tell you is that we often are challenged with the concept of making a product or creating a product, and when we're doing that, basically what we're doing is we're trying to predict the future. What will the future hold for us? What do our customers need? And if there's anything that we've learned about humans over the years, it's that we suck at making predictions. Case in point, everything that can be invented has been invented. This was the commissioner of the U.S. Office of Patents in 1899. Over 100 years ago, the guy that was deemed worthy of telling you whether you could have a patent or not had basically said there's no way you can come up with anything new in this world. Albert Einstein, we all know him. He's pretty smart. Nuclear energy is basically never going to happen. That was in the 1930s. Steve Jobs. A lot of people like Steve Jobs. The subscription model of buying music is bankrupt. Spotify and Apple Music will never exist. Key point, Apple Music existed after Steve Jobs passed on. Somebody in Apple disagreed with Steve Jobs. I'm going to guess it was Tim Cook. And then finally, there's no chance the iPhone is going to gain any significant market share. There's a reason Steve Ballmer is now the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers and not the CEO of Microsoft. But even though we clearly can't make predictions, just applying a process isn't going to help us much. We've all seen the Design Council's Double Diamond. And while the Double Diamond is typically broken up into a few key areas, what typically happens is that we jump from problem to solution. And I'm going to back this up because I just spotted an error in that. Man, I hate this. Hate. The liver's misspelled, isn't it? That's not right. You would think that I'd know how to spell deliver. And yet it was spelled right. Okay. Well, that sucks. Yeah, we're really struggling today. All right. Let's reboot this. So just reboot it. It's fine. It's just you and me. All right. Greetings. Welcome to this short talk on how you can make a better case for more design research with your clients and at your place of employment. My name is Chris Courtney. I am the founder here at New Pragmatic. I've been doing design for about 20 years. And if there's anything that's become very apparent over the course of doing 20 years of information and product design, it's that we're often making predictions. And what I've found over time is that humans really suck at making predictions. Case in point, let's just look at some really smart people. Charles Duell, he was the commissioner of the U.S. Office of Patents, basically the person who said, hey, you came up with a new idea. He said in 1899, basically no new ideas. Everything that's going to be invented has been invented. So the guy that was in charge of telling you whether you could patent your idea was basically saying just straight off, nothing new is ever going to happen after 1899. Albert Einstein, this is 1932, said basically nuclear energy will never happen. That's Albert Einstein, basically one of the smartest people to ever walk the earth. Obviously, nuclear energy did happen. Steve Jobs, marketing genius, subscription music will never happen. I guess Spotify and Apple Music are figments of my imagination. And then Steve Ballmer, on the flip side of the Apple coin, there's no chance the iPhone will ever be a thing. No significant market share. He's not the Microsoft CEO anymore. Probably that's a big part of it. I think he was coming out with the Zune about the time the iPhone was coming out. Anyway, one thing that we know is that we're terrible at making predictions. And just because we come up with a process and we try to put a framework around that issue of not being able to make that prediction, that's not going to help us by itself. We've all seen the UK Design Council's Double Diamond, and basically it's broken up into these quadrants: problem, discover, define, develop, deliver, solution. Okay? And that's great. It makes a nice, tidy chart to follow. Unfortunately, we are headstrong. We have confirmation bias running through us 24/7, and when we see a problem, we immediately jump forward and we say, "Oh yeah, I've got the solution for this." That's an issue. We jump to conclusions with certainty, even though our ability to predict the future rarely is accurate. So the problem that we have is that we suck at predictions, we jump to conclusions, and a process, as many, and there are more than the UK Double Diamond process, a process isn't going to necessarily help us short circuit those inherent flaws or traits that we possess. But all of it is really easy to nip right in the bud. And it takes 3 words. And these are the 3 most important words that I need you to remember. There's a power unleashed when you say, I don't know. It's been written about. One of my design heroes, Mike Montero, writes extensively about the power of I don't know. But let's talk about what I don't know does. So when you're in a meeting and somebody is saying to you, we need to do X, what do you think about Y? And you say, I don't know. You immediately drive a discussion because you kick it back to the other side of the table and you begin your investigation and interrogation at that point. And this is a great thing to do because when you begin interrogating your client or you begin interrogating the business partners, what you're actually doing is you're spotlighting the assumptions. A lot of time we will have colleagues that will try to push us from doing research, and they're going to present what they know as fact. And it's in this interrogation that you begin to delineate between what they actually have facts on and what they are taking as assumptions. You're able to have that discussion. It spotlights those assumptions, and that sparks observation. And not just observation with your colleagues. It pushes you outside of the room. You've said, I don't know. You've identified that while they may have some facts, they do not have enough facts to move forward with. That pushes you to begin observing and hopefully interacting with your user or potential users or people who use products like what you want to build. And that drives testing. The whole concept that you would create a product without putting it through rigorous testing is frankly crazy. And the idea that you would create a product before testing your competitors' products, before sitting down with a user and saying, hey, I want you to use this thing. Yes, this is somebody else's thing, and that's fine. It's a competitor's product. You should be testing that before you begin embarking and building your own things. I don't know allows you to do all of this very seamlessly, frankly. The next logical step when you say, I don't know, is to go find out. And without saying, I don't know, none of these things really happen. So we also begin to morph this chart, this pretty little double diamond graphic suddenly grows on that first half. And when that first half grows, you gain more of a research is messy, and you need that time to begin your exploration. And you're going to go down and find a lot of dead ends. You're going to go down and find things that don't work. And by God, I hope that you find the things that don't work before you go build them and then find out that they don't work. That's what this larger half of the diamond is all about. It's about time for exploration, time for dead ends, time for the messiness that research entails. You need more time up front so you can be more focused and build things that you have tested and concepts that you have pushed, and the things that you found out from talking with users. Those things all get baked into the product that you actually build. But you can't do that if you let ego get in the way. And that's really the key here. When you're framing research for business, So often you're going to hear people say, we don't need to do the research. And it's important to realize where that's coming from. Where that's coming from is this idea that it costs money to do research, and it's going to cost more money to do the product because you're spending this money on research. Business is driven by these costs. And the way that I would encourage you to begin framing this for your colleagues, for your teammates, is that egos are really expensive. And egos are going to always have the answer. And they're going to want to avoid the research. There's a couple of things that are really important about that. An ego wants to avoid the research because the ego wants to appear correct. The ego is making a bet that their prediction is correct. But what do we know about predictions? We know that humans suck at predictions. So if humans suck at predictions, the likelihood that that ego prediction is going to be correct is very, very low, making it a very, very expensive mistake potentially waiting to happen. Now, conversely, on the other side of that coin, humility is really cheap. Humility says, I don't know, and I want research. I want to fill in the knowledge gaps because I don't know. There's no ego in saying I don't know. Nobody's proud to say I don't know. But there's two sides of that. When you say I don't know, I want you to say, but I want to find out. I want a humble approach with an eagerness to find out. And that's what bringing humility to this and wanting to fill in those knowledge gaps, that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, humility is going to spot the problem much faster than ego. And because of this speed to find the problem, with humility, you do research, humility finds the problem. Humility builds a better product. Ego finds a problem way later. Ego's already built a product that you've got to tear down. You basically throw all that work away. You save money with research. Research doesn't cost you money. Research saves you money. And that's the framing that I need you to approach these business decisions with. You're going to have people basically say, hey, listen, do we really need to do the research? And the answer is absolutely. The research is not optional because you don't know. I don't know, so I have to do the research. Otherwise, I can't do the job. And when we talk about this, there's two sides to doing the job. One side is you need to do the job ethically. You need to make sure you're not going to do something that's going to harm somebody. And without doing the research, you have no idea what the second and third tier of impacts are going to be. So I was reading a Dropbox design article this morning, and it talked about there's an author by the name of Howard Marks, and Howard Marks talks about second and third tier impacts. The example they had in the article was you're going to add the ability to direct message a client inside of your application, and that's great. The first thing that it will allow you to do is to impact or to interact directly with that client. Okay, that's the first tier thing. That's good. The second tier thing is it's going to allow you to immediately interrupt the workflow of your client. And that's not immediately apparent until you begin backing away and considering all the options and ramifications of the things that you're doing. Not doing the research means you're just going to rush in, you're going to design the ability to direct message that client, and that's going to be that. You're not going to consider the problem any further than that. But we need to consider the other ways that this impacts the people that we're building products for, and the people that those products impact that maybe aren't directly our clients. This is what we talk about when we talk about systems design. How does this impact people that aren't necessarily using our product, but the people on the periphery? Our job is not to harm anybody, and we can't do that if we haven't properly researched the problem. And the other side of that is obviously economically. It's one thing to operate ethically, but we want to operate with an economy to our actions. We want to make sure that we're not making a lot of moves that are unnecessary. I would rather do a lot of cheaper research motivated tasks that might lead to some dead ends than expend a lot of energy pushing teams toward a solution that isn't going to be something the customer wants. So ethically, economically, that's what research allows you to do. Now, let's talk about the toolkit, because this is really important. A lot of people believe that there's a quote design process that takes you from A to B and you use it over and over again. And I'm here to tell you that there's no two projects that are going to be alike for you. There'll be projects where you use similar tools. There'll be projects where you use wildly different tools. But the main thing that you're trying to do is you're trying to utilize the right tool to gain the information that you need to carry forward the job. So I want to talk about where to begin. There's two basic starting lines for every project. One would be like a stakeholder interview. You go talk to the stakeholders that are wanting to build a thing. You begin to interrogate what do you know about the problem. You're defining what you want to build, but what do you know about the problem? Where do you have some information? They have information. It's not that they're walking in completely blind. You need to know what they know. Those interviews will help surface that. The second thing that you could do, and let's say that you're interrogating a problem that doesn't necessarily have a stakeholder asking you to build, but you're wanting to go and enhance the lives of group X. So you go do observational research. You go sit down, you go into the field, and you watch. You pay attention to how people do, how people interact, where they go. You do observational research to begin pushing your design solutions forward. The next logical step is to do one or all of the following: competitor research, product testing, surveys and user interviews. I've tied surveys and user interviews together there because I see a survey as being a qualifier for who you're going to interview. The survey itself is not data that I want you to use to hinge your product design decisions off of. I want you to use the survey in service to find you people to talk to. Competitor research, that's pretty straightforward. You're building a thing, you need to go find the people that are in that space. The product testing thing may seem a little off because you're just beginning to build your product. What could you possibly test? You test your competitors' products. And in testing those competitor products, you are performing competitor research. And also, you're doing observational research on real users. There's a real power to product testing at this stage. And then finally, you're going to bring all that data together that you've collected for affinity mapping. And affinity mapping, we've all seen it. It's the Post-it notes. What's really important here is that themes will emerge. Themes will emerge, and that's where the problems are. When you're doing your affinity mapping, I want you to bring anybody that's been involved in your research into the room. I want you to bring your team that's going to be working on the product into the room. I want you to bring your stakeholders into the room. I want everybody, this is a real team building exercise. I want everybody to feel like they're part of this mapping process, because as you move forward out of this room, it's going to be from a place of buy-in powered by research. And those two things together are really powerful. And keep in mind, you've managed to do all this without wasting the time of your dev team and of anybody else that would have been spinning their wheels on a product that we were thinking would have been the right direction, mainly because our egos were predicting it. So with that, if you have questions, I want to encourage you to reach out to us over on newpragmatic.com. There is a Slack channel. You can sign up right on New Pragmatic's site. And if you like this video, if you want more of these videos, feel free to click subscribe. And otherwise, I am Chris Courtney. Thank you so much for joining us for this short video on empowering your design decisions with more, not less research. And we'll talk again soon. Take care.